This is moment Marian institution built by the people and presented to the representative of the people for promulgation is historic and worth mentioning. Having said so, Mr. Speaker, it could be recalled that in 1960, there was a constitution, even though not independent constitution as such, called the Governor Windy Constitution, that resulted to the first election in 1961. Unlike this constitution, perhaps, it came without that broad-based consultation to give the wishes and aspirations of the people, and the election resulted to controversy. Thereafter, the governor appointment to the executive, P.S. Njai as chief minister, and Sadado and others as members of the executive, some of them had to resign. In that event, from 4th to 11th May 1961, and from 24th to 27th July 1961, there were constitutional conferences to address those issues. And yet another constitution was developed and second election conducted. Then Sadauda, his party forming the majority, was appointed as Premier Minister. The Gambia went for a referendum, but fell short to get the total requirement and could not get the self-governance. Sadauda was appointed as Premier Minister. Gambia got independence in 1965, but under the rule of the colonial masters, Sadauda appointed as Prime Minister in 1965. The country still yearned for a full-fledged independence. And what brought about the full-fledged independence to the nation was the 24th April 1970 referendum, where the country got the total requirement and got the full-fledged independence. Then Sadauda became the first president of the First Republic of the Gambia. As a result of the constitution, by degree for almost 2 years. August 8, 1996, we went to a referendum to vote in for a new constitution. Of course, there were consultations, as earlier on alluded by Honorable Member for Woodley West. But some of us, even though at that time we were not that much politically aware, we were involved. The manner in which that consultation went, the manner in which therefore, I wouldn't say consultation, I say that difference. in the first draft constitution. Observations were made that there were a lot of omissions in the first draft. Instead, for the Constitutional Review Commission to go back to the people and redraft what they feel were omitted, it was the military junta that revised that draft constitution. It was that revised constitution, revised by the military junta, that was put to the national referendum. It was said here, the 1997 constitution, even though was voted to the referendum on August 8, 1986, was promulgated when the new National Assembly came in 1997. This constitution, according to a member, suffered a great deal of amendment. To one extent, even entering clause was amended. And then what we saw, a country with a constitution, but the constitution that over our constitution. When this team saw the need, there is a need for November 2019. Of the people want on the draft was earlier form and solicit the feedback on the draft constitution. And then finally, the CRC took the feedback on the proposed draft constitution and prepared and submitted the draft constitution to the president. Madam Speaker, the CRC did not stop there. As assembly members, we have various documents from the CRC, the report of the CRC, comprehensive report of the CRC of their work, as well as the explanatory memorandum to the draft constitution. Therefore, the CRC has done its work, and the CRC is the body that can effectively guide us as members to get into this constitution. We are not drafters. We are not experts like them. The work that they do is exactly that we're supposed to follow. And we could see from the trend that we're going, they have really done what they should do, and everybody is given the opportunity to put your view regarding what should be in the Constitution. Nobody will be forced to do so, but the opportunities were open. They went to every community. They used all media houses. All avenues were used. So now no Gambian will now say your views are not captured in this constitution. In the report, the CRC mentioned the draft constitution comprises some provisions of the 1997 constitution that the CRC consider appropriate to retain while modifying others. It has introduced some innovations in response to the wishes and aspirations of the Gambian people. The new chapter has been created on national values and principles, leadership and integrity, independent institutions and offices, and land, environment, and natural resources. In particular, the establishment of the National Human Rights Commission and the Anti-Corruption Commission are aimed at ensuring respect for the rule of law and human rights, and integrity and accountability in government. These are engaging phenomena of modern constitutional development. In the report, the CRC concludes, after engaging in a robust and full participatory and inclusive process to canvass public opinion, it is my strong belief, and indeed that of my fellow commissioners of the CRC, that the draft constitution generally embodies the wishes and aspirations of the Gambian people in a fair, balanced manner, and that it will help buttress democratic rule and good governance in the Gambia for generations to come. While the draft constitution, as with any other constitution, cannot incorporate every view and opinion, it is our belief that it is truly reflect the best interests of the Gambia and the Gambians. The CRC commends this report and the draft constitution to His Excellency, the President of the Republic, and to all Gambians to receive and adopt and own. This is the position of the CRC. I think every Gambian that has been following the entire process will be satisfied by the work of the CRC and what they have requested. It's either we own this constitution or we go back to the 1997 constitution. But the CRC is advising the earlier. Having said so, I want to seize this opportunity to commend the CRC for the job well done, and I've noted their requests, and I am in support of the request made by the CRC. Mr. Speaker, the Constitution, the draft Constitution, to say, the 2020 draft Constitution, Honorable Member for Woolly West earlier mentioned, the Gambia as a nation is well defined. In the Constitution, the Republic, as I said earlier on, when the first draft came, there were issues surrounding that area regarding the word circular. I think there is a provision that tries to harmonize that. That is clause 1.3. The Gambia comprises of people of different faiths, and every faith shall be respected and treated fairly without any discrimination. In the explanatory note, the CRC tried to explain the misconception that the people may have surrounding the word or exclusion of the word secular. If I may read, restoring Section 1 to this original position in accordance with the decision of the Supreme Court. In 2001, the National Assembly, acting on the recommendation of the then Attorney General and Minister of Justice, passed an amendment to the Constitution, which, among other things, sought to amend Section 1 to declare the Gambia as a secular sovereign republic. That section, being an entrenched clause in the 1997 Constitution, was never advanced to a referendum for approval by the people. Consequently, Kemese Jammeh initiated legal action before the Supreme Court, which declared the proposed amendment to be unconstitutional. This effectively restores Section 1 to its original image, declaring the Gambia a sovereign republic. Unfortunately, the revised edition of the law of the Gambia of the 2009, instead of clearly restoring the Section 1 to its original position in accordance with the decision of the Supreme Court, as it should have done, left the word secular in the section and provided asterisk referring to the cause brought by Kemese Jammeh. Constitutional position, therefore, is that Section 1 of 1997 Constitution remain as it was originally approved at the referendum adopted in 1997 Constitution. With that being, there is no word secular in the current Constitution. So there is no point to say CRC has omitted the word secular in the Constitution. But now when people's views were advanced, concerns were raised, I think the clause that I earlier on read tend to harmonize the situation. Mr. Speaker, if you go to the centralization of government, the point mentioned here, the government and the local government authorities shall cooperate and work with each other to promote the interests of all people, the interests of all Gambians, for development of each administrative area, unity, cohesion, peace between and among all Gambians. This is very fundamental and very key. In a multi-democratic nation, at times we may have a government in power that may not have local authorities, but there is a need for them to cooperate and work together. So having this in the provision, I think, is a new development that can harmonize the coexistence between the central government and then the local government. The national values. This is another important, if not new or close, that is provided. As citizens, we can truly demonstrate to be true citizens if we know what are our values as citizens. And this will be spelled out. And that's what the Constitution is trying to address, so that every Gambian can know that these are our national values and principles. When they are spelled out, they are to be known and then to be carried by every citizen. These are things that are lacking. Sometimes we tend not to have that sense of national spirit, national love. But if we enshrine in our Constitution, we tend to have it, and we tend to know it and own it. On the culture, Mr. Speaker, our culture is it Madam Speaker? Oh, Madam Speaker, I'm sorry. Madam Speaker, some of us culturists, and we love anything that can promote our culture. Now, having this been mentioned explicitly for the promotion and protection of our culture in our Constitution is a welcoming development. Our culture needs to be preserved. Our cultural sites needs to be protected. This is in one way or the other that can promote tourism in our country. And we all know very well that tourism is one that can boost our economy. The manner in which the culture has been addressed in the Constitution is in no uncertain term aimed to undermine the promotion of our culture. And to that, this is a welcoming clause in the Constitution. The duties of the citizenship. Mr. Speaker, or Madam Speaker, rather, if you look at citizenship in this Constitution, it has clearly defined what citizenship is. By birth, instead of saying citizenship by birth or by descent. Citizenship by birth. And who is a citizen? If you are doing a citizen prior to the commencement of this Constitution, you maintain your citizenship. The other aspect, I think what people fail to understand is, apart from being a citizen by birth, you can be a citizen by registration, and you can also be a citizen by naturalization, but you have to follow the procedures. No matter how long you have been here, if you don't follow the procedures, you have no one to blame. Let's sensitize and enlighten people to follow those procedures so that they acquire our citizenship. But we cannot simply say they've been here for long, therefore they should be granted. What the law says, these are the procedures. If you are not a citizen by birth, these are procedures to be a citizen by registration. These are procedures to be a citizen by naturalization. Simply follow that. There is no ambiguity with that. However, Madam Speaker, under citizenship, the child of not more than 8 years of age, found in the Gambia whose parents are not known, shall be presumed to be a citizen of the Gambia by birth. That one perhaps, when we get to the committee stage, or when we are to consult, seriously once more, we need technical explanation to that. Leadership integrity. Leadership integrity. A nation succeeds with a leader. And the nation fails with a leader. And a leader has to have that degree of integrity and demonstrate that integrity. If the Constitution is trying to highlight that to the better understanding of the citizens, it is our belief that we will put in leaders who have acquired that level of leadership and integrity, because it is in our book. This new clause in the Constitution is very important, as Africa in general, we are getting problems with our leaders, as a result of our lack of confidence in terms of leadership and their attitude or integrity after assuming or acquiring power. But if the citizens are aware of this, and since it is in their constitution, they will know what to do. It went further to highlight the responsibilities of leadership. And these responsibilities clearly show what a leader is responsible to do. This is cross-cutting, applying to every office, every institution. Wherever you are a leader. What is expected of you? In the public office. Obligation of persons dealing with public office in the service of the state. People should know their obligations. That you are public servant. You are people's servants. And these are your obligations that you need to carry to serve your people. This is another welcoming provision that will give the people the sense of responsibility to run their offices. In the previous Constitution, 1997 Constitution, we have the fundamental human rights and freedoms. But the manner in which this Constitution has designed this particular area is well commendable. You have Part 1 as the general provision for the fundamental human rights, and Part 2 for the specific rights and freedom. You have how these fundamental rights are going to be applied, and then how they are going to be implemented. The enforcement of the fundamental rights, and the authority of the court on upholding and enforce this chapter. Limitation of the fundamental human rights, and the limitation of the fundamental human rights. With that, if you know the rights also, we should also know the limits as well. This arrangement of this particular chapter has made the fundamental human rights and freedom to be well understood. And then where we have the loopholes in terms of application and enforcement, the issue of denial of our rights could be addressed. The Independent Boundary and Electoral Commission I share the same view with the Honorable Member for Woolly West. I believe the nomenclature, the Independent Boundary and Electoral Commission, does not actually speak for the purpose, in the sense, independent boundaries. I think the honor lies on the Electoral Commission, not the boundaries. Partly, even in the 1997 Constitution, the Independent Electoral Commission has functioned to demarcate the constitutions. That's part of its functions, or consequences rather. That's part of its functions. I believe what should have been done is to maintain the name and then give them that mandate. Instead of creating the Constituency Boundary Commission, we give that mandate to the Independent Electoral Commission, as simple as that. Already, Independent Electoral Commission is an established institution. If you want a change of name, that required a lot of changes and a lot of resources are going to be used in that. And the change of name does not do anything here. All what is necessary is the functions that the commission is going to carry on. Under executive, the draft constitution ably arranged in a way that we have various parts, the guiding principle of the executive authority and general duties. Office and powers, the office of president, powers and duties. What is also important here for inclusion of what is called the temporary succession to the office of the president. And then there was a time the vice president was not appointed for a couple of months because the Constitution did not address that time as when that particular office can be filled or something like that. But I could see in this draft, within 14 days, the vice president should be appointed. I think that will address that ambiguity. The election of the office of the president, qualifications and disqualifications were highlighted, and there were some adjustments compared to the 1997 Constitution. I will wait until when we come to the stage, but so far it is inclusive. Constitution should not be made in a way to If we are advocating for franchise, we have the right to vote, but at the same time also the right to be voted for. The law should not be stringent enough to make that exclusion as such. And I could see that in the draft. To take care of the situation and harmonize the situation as well. The terms of the president when we say president, it's not a person, it's the office. That's what we should understand. When we say the Constitution, it's not the president or the person, that is the nation. Under that, this Constitution is addressing the office. And the CRC did express that the Constitution is meant for the executive not to perpetuate itself to power. And we all would agree that what has been strongly been advocated as a result of change is this issue of term limit, 2 terms. That is the bottom line of the change. The 1997 Constitution started with what we call President Jawara as the first president of the first of that Constitution of the First Republic. 1997 Constitution came, President Jammeh as the first president of the 1997 Constitution, and if this Constitution should pass, we'll have President Barrow as the first president of the, would it be 2021 Constitution? And the CRC is recommending they start the counting from there. These are experts, taking into consideration how dictators are built. No one is born a dictator. It is the people who make dictators. The more we give them the opportunity, and they tend to abuse. That's how it resulted to. Sometimes they will even go, well, it is 2 terms now. They'll wait until when that 2 terms elapses because already they are dictators. We want you to be there, continue, amend it. The 3 terms comes. Those who are saying we should not start now, tomorrow you are not there. Your target is this, but now the dictator is made. Constitution is amended. The term limit is completely removed. That's why the president of Guinea-Bissau said, inasmuch as we condemn coups in Africa, we should equally condemn them. What is called amending the Constitution to 3 terms. It does not just start there. It started from somewhere. And here we are in that situation. We regularize it now. Or else, I can tell you, whether you'll find me here or not, it is going to happen, because this is an act of trying to build somebody to acquire that trend of dictatorship. The appointment of ministers. These are best practice elsewhere. The qualifications are there, disqualifications are there. And the executive has the power to do the nominations. The National Assembly scrutinizes. If we are doing for other public offices, we did it here, ombudsman. What is wrong for cabinet minister? The ombudsman, we did it here. And we did it perfectly well. I believe this is a welcoming development. We all know very well there are certain cabinet ministers, if at all they should be put before the National Assembly for scrutiny, they will not be in that office. Anytime they come here, we'll express our disappointment. The way they treat issues, and the way even they address this August Assembly. We say fine, the people's representatives should be given the opportunity to scrutinize who should better work with the president to serve the nation. They say we should leave that. I think this is also a new development. Finally, Madam Speaker, local government, we have the chiefs supposed to be elected as it used to be. But what is lacking is their qualification and disqualification. The Constitution mentioned that, or the draft Constitution rather, the institution and election of appointment of Sefo and Alcalo, the institution of the office of the Sefo and Alcalo as recognized and established by the customs and usage, and the non-abolition of such offices is hereby guaranteed and preserved. A Sefo shall be elected by the universal adult suffrage of all registered voters in the district on a non-partisan basis. That's just that about Sefo. If you talk about their election, I think you should also talk about their qualifications and disqualifications. Because in the First Republic, it was the government that will identify, or people will apply and they will select candidates. Sometimes they will say you come from those from the ruling clan or something like that are the ones who are given the ballot boxes to contest. And then sometimes this is done on political line. But now when the appointment came, whether you are from that ruling clan or not, people are appointed. In the same vein also, even election, it was only the yard owners that used to vote. Now voting has been addressed, but who are qualified or disqualified to contest for the chieftaincy, I think that should be addressed in the Constitution. On that note, Madam Speaker, I thank you so much for giving me the floor. And once more, I thank the CRLC, through the chairperson, the able chairperson, for a job well done. And I urge the August Assembly to adhere to the submission of the Commission, that is to receive, adopt, and on this Constitution as the way forward.